Dear devotees, tonight we are going to discuss the last item of the Four Noble Truths. Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, Magga or Marga. Magga or Marga, Pali and Sanskrit, the meaning, the path or the method. The method introduced by the Buddha for us to find out the final salvation or the ultimate aim of our life. That is called noble path. This noble path is classified into 8 items. In simple language, we can introduce this as the Buddhist way of life. All the other practices that we perform in the name of this religion, thinking that we practice this religion, can become useless or meaningless when we analyze and understand the meaning of the noble path introduced by the Buddha. Those well-known scholars, comparative religious scholars, having observed, examined, studying after all the existing religions in this world, mentioned that they have never seen this 8 noble path in any other existing religion. That is only in Buddhism. After gaining his enlightenment, in the first sermon, the Buddha has revealed this. The noble truth that I am going to reveal as a religious way of life is ananussutesu dhammesu, unheard before, because there were about 62 religions in India at that time. He studied many of them earlier, but he could not satisfy. That means he could not gain what he wanted. That is why he had to struggle. He had to use his full effort and energy and knowledge and understanding to cultivate his mind, to gain enlightenment. Through his enlightenment, he realized the real nature, reality in existence in our life, the world and the universe. Then he says, there are various religious groups who believe certain things, who practice certain things, thinking through those practices or belief that they can find out their final salvation. Even today, There are many religions. Each religion tries to convince others that their method is the only correct method to find out the salvation. But all these existing religions try to introduce a religious system for us to find out our salvation through the influence of external sources. Please remember this. Without worshipping, praying and offering, or developing belief and faith towards external agencies, forces, according to them, it is impossible for others to find out their salvation if people do not believe, do not pray and worship to those external forces. So this is the common belief. The only religious teacher so far who appeared in this world, who did not agree, who did not encourage people to follow this method, to depend on others for our salvation, is the Buddha. He said, I did not gain my enlightenment or my wisdom through the influence of divine power or any other external forces, but by cultivating my mind. Mind is the most energetic, most dynamic force in this world. Human mind. If you know how to cultivate this mind without depending on any external forces, we can gain everything what we need. Even by developing our faith and belief, what we do, we take some sort of external object and concentrate, believe, develop our faith and worship, do some offerings. All these are mental activities. We use different names, either God or Devas or Bodhisattvas, but by taking such object, what we do, we develop our mental energy, develop our faith and belief, and do something, reciting, praying, worshipping, offerings. All these are mental activities. But when we come to the Buddha, he said, it is not necessary for you to invite any external object. Mind itself is more than enough. If you know how to deal, how to handle how to control, how to develop your mind without depending on others. If you know how to reach, how to concentrate, how to be mindful without allowing certain external sources to disturb your mind. Now you can see the difference. All the other religions advise us to bring something from outside into our mind. The Buddha says, it is not necessary for you to bring anybody. Concentrate on your body and on your mind. The whole universe is there. All the existing elements are there. Energies are there. Atom, cosmic energies, and various other things which we refer as cosmology, we can find here. In the Buddha's teaching, you can see how he explained. You can see the whole world within this a small physical body. If you know how to analyze, you can see the whole world here. That is why he said, not necessary to invite something else from outside. So this noble path is for us to make use of this physical body and the mind without misusing, without abusing, without disturbing, by maintaining our human dignity, by giving due credit to our human intelligence, without becoming slaves to any religion or any external god or powerful person. As human beings, without behaving slaves to any religion, but by leading normal way of life, without torturing, without suffering, we can practice this religion. It is not necessary for us to suffer in the name of our religion. We can lead a normal life. But that life must be a noble life, must be a respectable life, must be a reasonable life. When we analyze 8 methods introduced by the Buddha, when we cultivate one after the other, we can understand why it is called noble path, noble method, noble truth. Here noble means absolute, never change. There is nothing to change. There is nobody in this world who can change anything. Forever, this method remain as noble path. And there is nobody in this world who can say it is not noble. Whether they are Buddhists or not, whether they have religion or not, all those who have human mind to think can understand this is the correct path, this is the respectable and noble path. By leading this harmless, respectable and noble and reasonable method, naturally we also become noble human beings. By following that noble method, we become noble human beings. That is the duty of a religion. If we do not know how to cultivate our life into a noble life, there is no religious life. We can maintain all sort of belief. We can perform various religious rites and rituals. We can spend any amount of money. But if we are not noble, if we are not leading a harmless life, that life is not a religious life. We can say, we worship, we pray so many times a day. We recite sutras, chanting, mantras, so many other things. Still we are not religious. Because we do all those things with some sort of selfish motive, to gain some material thing. Many people go and worship and pray and recite sutras and mantras and all sort of things. For what purpose? To do some service to others? To extend their kindness or compassion? To develop their honesty and sympathy and understanding or cooperation? No. To gain something for their benefit, material gain. Are we going to introduce them as religious people? In that case, when you are sick, you go to a doctor and explain the nature of your sickness and get some medicine to get cured. And that method also can introduce as a religion. So what is the difference now? When you need something, some worldly material gain and power and income or business, you go and pray and worship. Oh, he is a very religious man, he pray and worship. For what? For his own gain, own benefit, for his protection. After committing all sort of evil and bad, immoral, wicked things, disturbing others, harming others, bluffing and swindling others, go and pray to God, worship. Oh, that man is a religious man because he goes and pray. This is the nature of religion today. After committing evils and sins, go and pray. The God can take away all your sins, you become pure. And next day again you can do the same thing. Is that the way to practice a religion? The Buddha has not introduced that type of religion. So this religion is not to believe anything. Please remember. Buddhism is not for us to believe anything. Don't believe anything. If you believe at once, not knowing what you believe, later you become religious fanatics. You maintain superstitious ideas. You maintain blind faith. Later, you never use your sense of reasoning to understand because you have already accepted. Without analyzing, without knowing, without understanding, just accept it. There is nothing for you to believe at the beginning. Don't believe anything. Now, this is the method introduced by the Buddha. Your first duty is to study. After studying, use your common sense. Investigate. Reasoning. Whether it is true or not. After using your sense of reasoning, if you have enough evidence to prove that it is true, then accept. After that, practice. Then you can experience the result. Not necessary to depend on the Buddha or the God or anybody else. Through your own experience, you can understand whether it is true or not. This is the method introduced by them. The Buddha has very clearly mentioned in his teaching, I am not giving any philosophy, any theories, any belief, any traditional practices as religion. And this message was not given to me by any God, any supernatural living beings. I am going to tell you what I experienced. So I am going to preach you according to my own experience. It is not a message. The Buddha is not a prophet to convey others' messages. He says, I can understand how I had to suffer life after life during my previous birth, even within this lifetime. According to my bad deeds, what I have done. Within that lifetime, also he had to suffer. Then he had to point out, do you know why I had to suffer from this? Then he said, during one of my previous birth, I have done this mistake. This is the effect. That is why I am telling you, it is advisable for you to keep away from these things. This is my own experience. Then he says, you also can understand according to your own experience without depending on God or anybody else. Again he says, I can understand what sort of pleasant, favorable, happy, prosperous, peaceful life I had according to my good deeds that I have done. Life after life. I continue. Even today, I am experiencing this wonderful bliss, happiness, satisfaction in my life, this knowledge and wisdom or enlightenment because of my good deeds that I have done. This is my experience. So my advice is for you to practice, then you can understand. You also can gain the same bliss, same happiness and satisfaction and liberation, salvation. But you cannot gain this from another person. Now you can see the way how the Buddha has introduced a religious way of life. Now let us analyze one by one these 8 methods. Samma ditthi, samma sankappa, samma vacha, samma kammanta, samma ajiva, samma vayam, samma sati, samma samadhi. These are the 8 methods. Samma means correct, right, harmonious. The word harmonious is more meaningful. The first item is samma ditthi. So in English, we always interpret this as right understanding, right views. But people take this word very loosely, not knowing the real definition of this word. What is this right understanding? It is impossible for us to develop our right understanding for everything in this world. Our understanding is very narrow, very limited and shallow, and we are stupid and ignorant in many things. How can we develop this right understanding at once? That is what people think. Now, I am ignorant of many things in this world. Then how can I develop right understanding? It is not that. Here the real meaning of right understanding is this. We maintain various kinds of belief and imaginations and concept. But we do not know how to analyze. how to define, just maintain this belief. Then our faith, our determination, nurtured and developed this. But right understanding is not there. Let us take, as Buddhists, we believe that Buddhism is the only religion, best religion in this world. That is not right understanding. Without understanding, analyzing, and investigating the nature of other existing religions, how can we say Buddhism is the only best religion in this world? Have you got anything to prove? Can you say the followers of this religion are more honest or sincere and kind and never disturb others? Can you prove this? There are many others who are not Buddhists. Amongst the followers of other religions also, amongst Christians and Muslims and Hindus and some others, who have certain principles, good qualities and good virtues, sometimes better than so-called Buddhists. Then how can you say Buddhism is the only religion? Others also maintain the same thing, that their religions are the best religion, all the other religions are false religion. It is not right understanding. Therefore, we must know to define what is right and what is wrong unbiasedly. That is right understanding. Whether it is in Buddhism or Christianity or Islam or Hinduism or any other Islam. That is right understanding. However, the Buddha's idea is this. If we can understand why we are here in this world, if we can understand what we are doing here, can you understand? If we can understand why we cannot satisfy with our life, although we have more than enough things, nobody knows. Can we understand why differences, changes, situation never remain always without changing? Where is the secret? Can we understand why we had to disappear from this world without remaining forever? Can we understand till what really happened to us after our death? No doubt, as Buddhists, we maintain some sort of belief that there is a rebirth, another existence. But that is a belief. But have you got enough evidence to prove that definitely that this life exists again? Not knowing the reasons, causes, the factors, just believe there will be another life, that's all. Now you can understand whether we maintain right understanding or not. All our beliefs are imaginations. Our way of thinking is very narrow. Then, if we can understand what is right and what is wrong unbiasedly, because certain things are very good for you but not for others. Certain things are very good for others but not for you. This is the nature of good and bad. So right understanding means if we can develop our mind to differentiate unbiasedly, this is good, this is bad. Not by considering for our own benefit. Usually we say good if it is good for us. We say bad if it is not favorable for us. There is no right understanding. Now you can see how deep and how far we had to develop our way of thinking to understand things properly. If we can understand what this life is, right understanding is there. If we can understand what this mind is, right understanding is there. If we know how to make use of this mind and body without misusing, abusing, right understanding is there. If you know how to control our mind and body without violating peace and happiness of others, right understanding is there. This is the first item. We can talk for hours only for one subject. Next one, right thoughts. What sort of ideas and thoughts appear? First, idea appears. Later, these ideas remains as thoughts. Then go on developing and developing and developing and developing. These thoughts work like waves in the mind. Anger, jealousy, hatred, grudge, ill will, greed. There are so many evil forces. They appear, after that nurtured by various other mental factors, then prevail in the mind. When the mind is influenced or intoxicated with these evil thoughts. These mental energies influence the physical body either to say something or to do something. That mental energy, if it is a wicked one, cruel and dangerous one, at that time we abuse our human dignity, we disgrace our human intelligence, we violate peace and happiness of others because of that evil thoughts which appear in the mind. Again, good thoughts, say compassion, kindness, honesty, good thoughts appear in our mind. When such ideas appear in our mind, we maintain this. Try to develop further and further, more and more. Then the purity remains in the mind. Cruelty, anger, jealousy, enmity disappear from the mind. So when we analyze the nature of our mind, then awareness of the nature of our mind. We never think that we have a mind. We spend so much money. We spent our whole lifetime to decorate, to beautify, to clean, to wash our physical body, this dirty body. How many minutes a day that we spend to look after our mind, to attend to our mind, to cleanse and wash our mind? Never. In fact, every day we are going on polluting and polluting and polluting and dirty the whole thing, harboring more and more anger, jealousy, greed and enmity. But we never do anything to wash, to cleanse this mind, to wipe out this dirt from our mind. Now what are you doing here? Why did you come here? By realizing, if you can spend at least for a few hours and to keep away from worldly life, but so many are there in this world who think in this way. So in simple language, you must know the nature of the thought that appear in your mind. Awareness of the nature of the thought. When anger is there, then you must know, oh, this anger is disturbing my mind. Then concentrate. This anger is dangerous. This anger can harm me and others. Awareness. Then the good thought appear. Honesty. Idea appear in your mind that why should I bluff others? Why do I want to take others' things without their permission? Why should I steal others' things? Awareness of the thoughts which appear. First you wanted to bluff, then the second thought appear in the mind, oh, it is not advisable for me to do that. I must maintain my dignity. I must maintain my religious principles. I must lead a noble life. First you wanted to bluff, then the second thought appear in the mind, oh, it is not advisable for me to do that. I must maintain my dignity. I must maintain my religious principles. I must lead a noble life. But how many people are there who can think in this way? Everybody is thinking how to bluff the other person, how to swindle and bluff and cheat and, if possible, by force to take something. This is the nature of human mind today. Then where is religious life? They can say they pray and worship and worship. Then where is religious life? Then, third one, Samma Vacha. Right speech. We must know how to talk. Art of talking. Our words can become the dangerous weapons in this world. One word is enough to destroy the whole world. See how powerful. That is why it is necessary for us to guard our tongue. But the poor tongue is not responsible for that. It comes from the mind. Words means the thoughts which appear in the mind, that mental vibration converts into sound vibration. When the sound vibration come out from the mouth, we introduce this as words or language. But mind is talking, not the tongue. Tongue cannot talk. Mouth cannot talk. Mind is talking. Mental vibrations converted into sound vibrations. When you scold by using dirty words, vulgar words, the mind is talking. All these words come from the mouth. Yes, no doubt, but mind is there. Human beings, I think you have heard, human beings are the only living beings in this world who tell lies. Others do not tell lies. Even devils and ghosts also never tell lies. They are very honest. Animals, they also have their own language. They don't tell lies. Devas and Brahmas, they do not tell lies. See how clever we are. That is why that religion is needed for us. Now, other living beings have no religion. Animals have no religion. Ghosts and devils have no religion. Devas and Brahmas also, they are not particular about any religion. Human beings need it. Because without a religion, it is impossible to control the human mind. You can understand. Government in every country, government is trying to control the mankind by punishing, even death penalty. Even then, cannot control. Then education. People have wonderful education. They study morals and ethics and science and technology and various languages. Mind become more wicked, more cruel and more cunning. They use their education, their scientific education also, to create more trouble and do more harm. This is the nature of human being. Again, the society try to control them by abusing, insulting, accusing, blaming. They don't stop. Animals, when you study their behavior, although their sense of reasoning is very, very limited, no sense of reasoning, but they have a mind to think. But they use instinct, animal instinct. So their minds are not advanced. So cunningness, crookedness, you cannot find in them. Human mind is very advanced, developed. This development has taken place with cunningness. When this cunningness joined with selfishness, we can do any dirty, wicked, immoral things in this world. But other living beings do not behave like this. So, religion is the only answer to control, to maintain this human mind. So especially our mouth, most dangerous thing. We tell lies, we abuse and scold, insult others, we use dirty, wicked, vulgar language, and we create troubles and problems and calamities and disturbances by using our mouth. We can burn the whole world by using our mouth. So if you know how to guard, how to talk gently, politely, without hurting and disturbing others, now that is called right speech. Whether we have a religion or not, right speech is important. That is why scholars say, it is not necessary for us to have Buddhist label to practice 8 noble paths. The follower of any religion, those who have no religion, also can practice. They also become noble. So the label of Buddhism is not important there. Next one. Right action. bodily action. Of course, this also must come from the mind. We, throughout our life, we do a lot of things. We work day and night. We work for our pleasure. We work to earn something. We work to support others. We work because of our craving. There are various reasons. Whatever we do, whatever method we adopt to do something, as Buddhists, we cannot keep quiet without doing anything. You must do something. The Buddha has never advised us to keep quiet without doing anything. Be energetic. Do something without wasting your valuable life. This is the advice of the Buddha. Then, whatever you do, please remember, you have some principles to uphold. If you do certain things by violating, breaking your principles, then there is no right action. It is not right action. You can justify. I had to do this for my living. I had to do this for me to gain something. I had to do this to support my family. These are our justifications. Even then, they are not under right action. You must know how to lead a noble life, respectable life, to do something without violating your basic principles. Then what are the basic principles? Now you are observing 8 precepts, but only once a month, knowing that it is very difficult for you to observe in your day-to-day life. Yes, you are right. Until you renounce this worldly life. But there are 5 we had to uphold in our day-to-day life. These are the basic principles, religious principles. These religious principles are not limited only for Buddhists, because there you can find universal values. We cannot say these principles are only for Buddhists. Common to every human being. What are those 5? First principle is not to destroy, not to kill, or not to hurt other living beings. Common to everybody. Second principle is not to steal, not to bluff, not to swindle, not to mislead, not to smuggle. Yes, universally accepted, no argument. Third principle, we come to sexual aspect. It is common. Sex life is not prohibited in Buddhism. Reasonable way. People are at liberty to experience their sex life without violating their principles. So sexual misconduct, abusing sex, There are various restrictions to maintain our dignity, to maintain peace and harmony and understanding, to maintain a healthy society, to avoid immoral and most unfortunate circumstances and situations, without becoming slaves to sex life. People can maintain their dignity and lead noble way of life. That is the principle. Then the fourth one, just now I explained, not to abuse our words, our mouth. Last one is intoxicating drinks and drugs. I think you have seen how people behave. Not necessary to read religious books, not necessary to come and attend any religious sermon to understand how dangerous and how wicked and shameless. By knowing this, try to uphold these principles, to avoid this. Now, you can do anything for any purpose, whatever you like, without violating any of these 5 principles. That is called right action. In other words, without disturbing others, you can do anything. Without hurting others, you can do anything. Common to every human being, the follower of any religion. When we uphold these 5 principles, we allow others to live peacefully because we don't disturb them. What a wonderful contribution to maintain peace and harmony and security. Just because people do not maintain these religious principles, all these disturbances, unhappiness, calamity, fear, insecurity, all these problems we are facing today, people do not uphold these noble principles. Next one, Samma Ajiva. Right livelihood, related to the same. For our living, for our survival, we have to do something. Now, animals kill other living beings and live on other living beings for their survival, only for their living. Every living being, of course there are few who do not eat flesh. Fish in the water, animals in the jungle, and all the others, birds, all those living beings catch another one and eat flesh for their survival. Human beings are regarded as cultured and civilized and religious living beings, not like animals. Human beings can survive without depending on other living beings, because they developed agriculture, started to cultivate so many things. Even then, religion, Buddhism, never restrict eating, because there are various ways for people to eat without directly getting involved in this act of killing. Without killing and without asking others to kill for them. Keep away only for these two things, that don't go beyond that. Then it is difficult for people to live, for survival. In certain countries, so we should not measure the whole world according to our way of life in this country. Climate, the situations, environments, entirely different. So what we need is some sort of honesty and purity in our mind whenever we do some work for our living. Business, yes, you can do business, you can have profit, but very reasonable profit. Then smuggling, bluffing, swindling, black marketing, not under right livelihood. Again, dealing with dangerous things, harmful, weapons and poisons and intoxicating drink and drugs and slavery. Try to keep away from these dangerous things. You cannot justify saying we are doing this for our living. That is not an excuse. Because there are so many other things that we can do without directly involving with those dangerous things, harmful things. So if we can keep away from such dangerous things, business for our survival, it is right livelihood, reasonable, harmless. Next one, right effort. It is a mental battle. Mind is in the battlefield. Every minute we are struggling, fighting with our own thoughts created by us. Once we create an idea, next moment we come to know that this idea is not advisable, reasonable, justifiable. Then we create another thought to topple, to wipe out this thought. Then friction takes place between these two thoughts. Big battle. Either to give up or to maintain. Cannot decide. Sometimes for days and months and years after years. Going on thinking, still could not decide what to do. This is the nature of our mind. So deciding factor is very difficult thing. So we have to use our full mental energy to create a strong determination in our mind without maintaining the wavering mind, fickle mind. That mental energy become our principles. So when we come to know always evil thoughts, wicked and harmful thoughts, bad thoughts appear in our mind, then use your full effort to guard your mind not to create such evil thoughts. You must know what sort of evil thoughts appear in your mind. As soon as they appear in your mind, use your full effort to bring them down, calm down. Take for instance your anger, suddenly flare up. Then use your full effort to calm down. You cannot stop this. Arising anger is sometimes natural. You cannot stop. But your duty is immediately after that, you must know how to calm that mind. For that you have to use full effort. Jealousy, anger, hatred, ill will, enmity, evil thoughts. When they appear, you must know how to use your mental energy to calm that mind. Effort. Again, you come to know that so far you have not developed many good thoughts in your mind. You are not honest. You are not very kind. And you are very cunning and selfish. By knowing this, you try to create, try to develop your honesty, your kindness, your sympathy, your understanding, your harmony. Use your effort to cultivate, develop through your understanding, your education, your experience. Develop these thoughts in your mind. This is the way how we have to use our energy, our effort to maintain healthy mind. So is there anybody in this world who can say that it is wrong? It is not noble? The follower of any religion? And now you can understand the nature of the noble method introduced by the Buddha. Next one, Samma Sati. Sati means awareness, mindfulness. Our thoughts, word, action. Awareness of our thoughts, awareness of our word, awareness of our action. That means when we talk, we must concentrate, we must consider, we must understand what we talk. Awareness is there. When thoughts appear in our mind, we must know what sort of thoughts appear in our mind. The mind must be there. When we do something, our mind must be there with that action. When we walk, when we eat, when we sleep, in every action, our mind must be there with that action. By doing that, what we do? We train and train and tame and tame and tame this mind without allowing this mind to run here and there and jump here and there. This is the initial stage. Then go on training, training, taming, taming. So mindfulness, awareness. In other words, we arrest this mind without allowing this mind to run here and there. Any human being who got a mind, if he or she can maintain this, can avoid lot of mistakes, can perform their work efficiently without making mistakes, because awareness is there. So simple. No religious label, whether Buddhist or otherwise. Be mindful. Talk mindfully. Do your work mindfully. You can avoid lot of problems. Last one. Samma Samadhi. At the moment, there is no peace in our mind. Five senses bring all sort of objects into our mind and disturb. Mental image, mental objects create imaginations, disturb the mind. Again, our mental tendencies, that means the mental process that we have developed life after life, the mental currents are still working. And these mental tendencies also disturb the mind, as our habits. That is why it is very difficult for us to maintain peace. So by knowing this situation, we try to cultivate concentration. We concentrate on one particular object, if possible. Try to analyze and understand, then we get knowledge, realization. Then go on developing and developing and developing. So when you do this, what will happen? Fear, uncertainty in life, suspicion, worries, disturbances, unhappiness that we maintain at the moment slowly, slowly, slowly disappear and disappear and disappear and disappear. Then we can maintain calmness, peace, satisfaction, serenity, tranquility. At that moment, mind never experiences worries or disturbances. Then purity, in the end, we gain enlightenment. See, we started with right thoughts, then went on developing and developing and developing 8 items. In the end, up to what extent we have developed this mind, we could manage to wipe out all the evil thoughts from the mind, to maintain purity, to gain knowledge, wisdom and enlightenment. That is the aim of our life. That is the ultimate aim or the purpose of our life. This is called noble path. This is called Buddhist way of life. This is the method introduced by the Buddha as Buddhism. This is called Buddhism. This is the Buddha's Buddhism. But we are not following Buddha's Buddhism. We practice our own Buddhism. We practice our teachers, masters, gurus and all sorts of people come and talk all sorts of cock and bull stories about Buddhism and you follow them. You don't want to follow the Buddha's Buddhism. Buddhism taught by the Buddha. That is very unfortunate. You can forget all those. Theravada, Mahayana, Tantrayana, Vajrayana, Disyana, that and throw away all these rubbish. You can forget about all your guru, that guru who come from this country and that country, chase them away. You come to the Buddha and try to follow this 8 noble paths. That is Buddhism. Thank you. Asatthaja Brahmattha Devanaga Mahindika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Loka Sasanang Ittavatacham Hehi Sambatang Punya Sampadang Sabbi Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampati Siddhya Devo Asatu Kalena Sasta Sampatti Hetu Cha Pito Bhavatu Loko Cha Raja Bhavatu Dhammiko Idango Nyati Nanghotu Sukita Hontu Nyatayo Ina Punya Kammena Mami Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Pattiya.